And now it's time for the insight of the week.
So, Lori, this week's insight is something true to my heart. I had a depressive episode many years ago now, but during that, I was looking for frameworks to understand existence. And one of the places I ended up was in the Chinese Tao. I don't know how I ended up there, but I believe that you would say this name loud. Oh, what would it be? I think
Lao
it's
Tzu.
Lao Tzu.
I don't know. Who
Okay.
knows?
So this week's insight is from Lao Tzu, or it's been attributed to Lao Tzu.
Yeah.
Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And this hits hard for someone like me that considers themselves extremely impatient, because I think we often feel like by speeding things up, we're getting more done.
Yeah.
But the reality is, everything takes time and patience, and seeing progress in so many aspects of your life is hard. I remember I wanted to be an artist, and my art teacher said, you could be a great artist if you were patient.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, when I am patient, I'm a fairly good artist, but I'm impatient.
Yeah.
But it's because I think the ultimately impatience is driven by the inability to sit in the discomfort of things getting done.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
love this because, as they say, nature doesn't hurry. We know that. If you have a garden, you're very aware of how little it hurries, but it gets done. The fruit's still bare, it still works out. So I love this
Yeah.
quote. Such a good reminder, and it grounds me in the fact that you can't hurry life.
I do have a garden that is growing like crazy right now, and it's awesome. There is something about particularly the way we do our garden is there's a little bit of chaos gardening to it. We try and do some intentionality, but it's also like what's going to grow and what's going to do well. And it's interesting to see how it changes day by day and how it reminds me of pregnancy in that during pregnancy, I was probably my most mentally healthy, which I know is not most people's experience, and I'm very grateful for it. But
You know,
part of
I
the
had a
reason
very, my first pregnancy was exactly the same. Best
it was
mental
very
health.
interesting. I'm very lucky with both of them. I just felt very chill overall, which was good because they were during a pandemic, so I didn't really.
Kind of needed that.
Uh, when I reflect back on the chillness, is I think that I really had to surrender in that moment to the fact that things were happening inside of my body that were outside of my control. There was a process taking place that was of my making, but I was in no way, shape, control of it. And so I think it really helped me surrender to that. And then they were born, and then I was like, oh God, now I'm really out of control.
Yeah.
that
And
and that feeling has just continued in perpetuity, and I'm learning to cope with it, but I was much more able to surrender. And what's interesting is we had a video, one of our videos went, we'll say semi-viral. We got like 15 likes, maybe 20 likes, I don't know, but it was big for us a couple months back, and it was about urgency and how
mhm.
urgency is a key sign of our nervous system being in a dysregulated state. And I have been reflecting on that so much recently after I got hurt because I am somebody, Crimson, I'm always rushing. I'm doing things. I'm like, I am hyper productive, sometimes to a point that it is not good for me. But I like efficiency. I like to get things done. I have a lot of things going on in my mind. And so I'm always doing. And when I got hurt, I couldn't do anymore. I went through a pretty dark stretch there, as my EEAs have documented. And part of that experience was recognizing how much I had been hurrying to do things, to check things off the list. And then also noticing how that hadn't gotten me what I wanted, the outcomes that I
Right.
hadn't wanted. And I don't think if I hadn't been forced to shut down, I don't think I would have necessarily taken a critical lens to some of the things that I was doing and checking off the boxes and really said, but wait a second, what is this actually doing for me? What value is this bringing? What cup is this filling? What business is this stimulating? What is the piece here? And when I was forced to shut down and not hurry, because there wasn't anything to hurry to, because you can't hurry healing. That's the one thing you really can't hurry. It made me realize that I was more focused on the doing and less focused on the outcomes.
Right.
And I'm coming back into this. And I think one of the reasons my reserves are building and stuff is because I'm looking at what are the real outcomes that I want. And What are the not easy ways to get there, but what are the ways like we're not like doing everything for everyone all the time? The more intentional, I'm going to invest this time, I'm going to invest this space, and then the more intentional rest along with it. I rested more this last week than I probably have in a long time, and I really struggled with guilt over it. But like I was genuinely tired. I've been using muscles that have been stymied up for a little bit of time, and just even the psychology and the physiology of moving again is like it takes a lot to wake your machine back up, right? And so I think that part of this is recognizing, I like what you said at the beginning, is that we often feel like we get more done when we hurry. But like, do we? Because my recent experience has shown me that is not the case. And it has shown me once again something that I will often practice or I will often preach, but it is harder to practice, which is that like it's important to rest. It's important to find ease in life. It's important to find flow and not just go do, 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 do.
It's not even that the Tao is about patience, it's about accepting and respecting nature's process, right?
Yeah.
The story that they tell that encapsulates patience so well is the bamboo plant. Obviously, bamboo is a native plant to China. And I don't know if people know this about bamboo, and I think this is real. I didn't do my research, but I'm fairly confident. I'm just going to go for it, okay? But bamboo takes years to grow. And so you can plant it and you have to water it, you have to fertilize it, you have to like keep doing your thing. And it can take up to 3 or 4 years. But once it grows, it just takes over the earth. And if
Yeah.
you've ever had bamboo in your yard or been around a yard with
It's
bamboo,
invasive.
it is
Yeah.
invasive. And my friend cut her foot on a shoe. It's horrible. But and it's interesting that
I
the
think the first
Chinese,
3 years it builds the roots in the colony,
right?
right?
It's the
Underneath, you don't
foundation.
necessarily see it growing. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you're sitting impatiently waiting for this thing to come. But once it arrives lush and
In abundance.
in abundance, right? And I think that it's not lost on me that the Chinese Tao, a lot of the framework is around this concept, and bamboo is the most native and typical plant that you will see in China. I love the Chinese Tao. I'm not religious. I don't practice it or anything. It's totally, I have a book that I refer to. It's like a summary of each of the different chapters of the Tao that I use a lot when I just need some reflection. Highly recommend it, but mostly for impatient people like myself, it's very helpful in grounding you in not why patience is important, but why it's necessary.
Yes. Yeah, I took a class on Taoism in undergrad, and I consider it more of a philosophy than a religion. That's just my kind of take on it. But I found it to be really a helpful guide for learning how to experience what is in a
Right.
way that is less resistant and less like plowing through. I kind of think Taoism is really the basis of a lot of the work I've been able to do around radical acceptance because
Interesting.
the
I can see
Tao
that.
teaches you to allow that to be and for you to be as well, like that dialectical kind of nature of it. I found.
Yeah, no, I thought the Tao gave me a really strong framework to deal with a lot of my anxieties around mortality and just time in general. And the Tao being so rooted in time and in the concept of natural processes, it
Yeah.
does help me slow down and realize that there's a world outside of me and things get done.
Yes.
A tree doesn't feel guilty for wilting in the winter. It does, and it comes back stronger and better the next year. Winter doesn't rush, healing doesn't get rushed. Life, you can't rush it. You can't plant a seed and have the fruits of it the next day.
I
It's
think a
just
lot of the rushing and urgency is really
it
dysregulation.
is. The discomfort of waiting sucks. And think of our society now and how fucked up our kids are going to be because they don't even have to wait to get their photos printed. And we used to have to like
Yeah.
take pictures and like go get film processed or
Go to
wait for
the
the
1 hour photo.
yeah, or wait. Oh, that was a premium. I never was in
That
that
was a
income
premium. Yeah.
bracket.
Usually I had to send them away and get like it'd be like a week and then you get them back from like
Yeah.
Sam's Club. Yeah.
Oh man, we've talked about this before. Think of the experience of walking into a movie store, a video store. You'd walk in, you had to hope that they had the movie. If they had the movie, you had to
Right?
hope that it was there. If it was there, you had to hope that you got every part of that was like setups for disappointment and requirements for patience. And we have eliminated so many of the requirements for patience in today's world with streaming, with technology, with all of the instant gratification. Impatience, I mean, look, I'm millennial. I was impatient from birth. My daughter's impatient. I do think it is like something I have to work on. But it is easier to work on something when nature is absolutely the most patient thing there is.